It's 1990, and I'm doing the shopping, which is rare, admittedly. I'm buying cheese. Cheddar or gouda? What shall I choose? That's all there is. In South Africa, in 1990, we had cheddar and gouda. 28 years later, I'm in the supermarket, really doing the shopping again. I have 200 to choose from. All of them South African. Not talking about imports here. I'm talking about South African cheeses. From cheddar and gouda to 200 in 28 years. What on earth happened? Well, just before 1990, we had a dairy board. And the dairy board decided what we should do with our milk in this country, and they decided for us whether we should have cheddar or gouda, and how much of each. That was their job. And they decided what price we should pay for it. 1990 was a couple of years after the dairy board had now been dissolved. Use the word advisedly. And hopefully that, in that industry, was the end of standardization and control. Thankfully, in the cheese industry, it was. And across the country, a whole herd of small producers started emerging, creating small amounts of cheese. Some of them had 140 liters of milk a day. In fact, there's one down in the little town at the moment of Darling who creates cheese out of 140 liters a day. That is a total of 18 kilos of cheese a day. But she's happy with that. It's fine. She runs a little deli there. Perfect. These people did not in those days have fancy equipment. We don't need fancy equipment to start an industry. Forget it, people. Let's just do it. Okay? A pot on the stove, some internet, and some passion. Let me give you an example. There's another little farm we were at recently, just outside the town of Clarence, and they do a smoked mozzarella. You think now, mozzarella, great. Smoked, this could be problematic. How much is the smoker going to cost me? No. It's an old fridge, people. There's no electricity involved. It's a battery fan from a computer sucking the smoke from a fire into the old fridge. That's the smoker. A pot on the stove and a battery, and you can make an industry. Okay? It's been a marvelous journey to watch how this has evolved, because these little producers sold not to supermarkets, but to their family, most of whom survived. Then they sold to their friends. Some of them survived. Then to their community, markets, and an evolution took place, and a revolution took place in this country. Why do we care what happened? First of all, I don't want a bland, colorless cheddar and gouda existence. I want diversity. I demand it. Because not only is it part and parcel of my life, it is part and parcel of the earth. It is our web of life, diversity. Whether it be in cheese, or mealies. Not fussed. Apply the model. The Earth's natural resources and assets are made up of plants and animals and land and water and the atmosphere and us. Together, we form part of the planet's ecosystem, which means when it goes wrong, our health and our livelihood are at risk. Let me tell you how badly they are at risk when we have no diversity. Let's tell the French they can't have any brie. Let's tell the Swiss there's no more Emmental, and for goodness sake, let's tell the Italians there's no more Parmesan. That is life-threatening. The question I want to ask is, do you have your own Gouda and Cheddar? This is an industry which, after the removal of government control, has emerged. But there are many, many others where we're going the other way. I'll give you an example. America. There are 5,000 varieties of potato. How many are grown commercially? Not 4,000, not 400. Four varieties of potato out of 5,000 are grown commercially in America. They're going to their own Gouda and Cheddar. I think we need to guard against that. For the sake of diversity, we need to guard against that. You know, these small producers have been producing all over the country, in the strangest places. Let's take one particular farm, which is precisely 86 kilometers from the main road in the Karoo. They have a small farm. It's 5,000 hectares. In Karoo terms, trust me, that's small, really. They, 86 kilometers, are the third farmhouse on the left. Let's just describe the Karoo a little bit here. Nobody really, in their right mind, should be growing anything there. You're stupid if you even try. And yet, the Karoo has got this incredible attraction for so many people, including me, to see mile upon mile of nothing higher than about maybe that in the bushes. If you see a tree, you know there's water there or a farmhouse. That's the only reason you'll see it. How big is this place? It's 40% of South Africa and a little bit bigger than Germany. In this incredible space, there is a farmer there that lives out on the west side of the Karoo with 5,000 hectares and 500 sheep, because that's what the Karoo can carry. One sheep for 10 hectares. 10 hectares, how many? That's a very large area for one sheep. It's 10 rugby fields. But if you overgraze that area, bye-bye, wait 50 years and your plants will come back again. That's what it takes. But they do have 500 sheep on the farm. Is that sustainable? Questionable. It was questionable in their own minds. And the farmer decided that they were going to, and his wife, decided they were going to get 12 Jersey cows. Where are you going to feed 12 Jersey cows in the middle of the Karoo? Just down the road, there's a unique phenomenon. It's the Karoo's Okavango. It's a place called the Suck River, which rises outside Beaufort West and never gets to the sea. It disappears into the ground. But along that river, you grow lucerne. And they grew lucerne, brought it back. It's not that far from where the farm is. You know, in the Karoo, nothing's far. It's probably about 30 k's. That's a neighbor. And they brought it back, and they started feeding their 12 cows on the lucerne, and they make magnificent cheese there. But there was a different aspect to that. As well as making it sustainable, it created a sense of dignity, because the 3 workers who were out during the day tending the sheep, fixing fences, and so on and so forth, they left their wives behind during the day, and when they started the cheese, those wives were incorporated into the dairy and now make cheese with the farmer's wife. And it created a sustainable unit, including them, and dignity for the people that are living there. Where else are you going to get a job when the closest main road's 86 kilometers away? It was a matter of must, as they say. It had to happen. It's interesting that this is happening in the Karoo. 40% of our meat, red meat, in fact, comes from the Karoo, would you believe, this partial desert. But it's an area which is so dear to our hearts because for 100,000 years it has been continuously populated. It's really interesting. So, 28 years down the track, what has been the outcome? I'm telling you all these nice, fluffy stories about cheese. But 28 years down the track, the consumption of cheese in South Africa per capita has doubled. And in no small way is that only because of large corporate. No. The small producers have in fact influenced, through the diversity, the choices, and the way in which they have brought their communities into the sales, double. I don't think that's too shabby. I really don't. The intriguing thing is that South Africa are 1,000 years behind in making cheese. We don't have a history of cheese making. 1,000 years. And yet, last year, a farm called Dalewood, and I'll mention them by name because we're very, very proud of them in this country, as one of many, entered the World Cheese Awards, which take place every year in the UK. 3,800 cheeses entered into the World Cheese Award in the awards, and Dalewood, with their cheese called Huguenot, won best cheese in the world made with Jersey milk. Not only that, they were rated the 4th best cheese in the world overall. For an industry which is a mere 28 years old and 1,000 years behind Europe, that's not too shabby. But the net impact of what has happened through this achievement, not only of them, but of many other of the cheesemakers in this country, is that the general standard of cheese in South Africa has improved overall. It has influenced the mass producers because they too try and enter the World Cheese Awards now with their own offerings. They're beaten flat by Dalewood and their Huguenot, and it's the most amazing thing. Here's the other amazing thing. This is not the only facet of food that is successful in South Africa. What about olive oil? Do you know that some of our olive oils are rated the best in the world when they go to Italy to get judged, or to Spain, or to Greece? It's remarkable. Brandy. Karoo lamb is a brand. It's recognized. It's some of the finest meat and the finest flavor anywhere in the world. In fact, when our slow food president came out from Italy, he said, "What on earth is this? I've never tasted anything like this. It has different texture, it has different flavor. It is unique." Our wines, Morulas, beers. It's emerging. It's happening. It's happening. What we have to do is understand two things. Firstly, artisans. Artisans are the custodians of our diversity. That's what happened here. Often the source of indigenous and of cultural knowledge, and the defendants of our heritage. Let us remember that, and let us protect and celebrate them. What's next? Well, in South Africa, in the cheese industry, we are now creating cheeses which are uniquely South African rather than copies of anyone else's. We are creating something which is special. And in closing, I want to say, food is love. Food is nature. Food is what unites us. We need to go back to our roots and re-examine. We need to understand that today's diversity becomes tomorrow's heritage. Let us preserve and celebrate our creativity, our resilience, and our identity. Never again standing in front of the fridge choosing gouda or cheddar.